Unfortunately, I know that the whiteboard is getting a little played out right now, but I used it in my last video because I needed to create a visual, and I like it, so I'm gonna use it. I don't care if it's played out. That's what I want to do. Now, this is who do you think you are? Not even that. Who are you? That's the big question. Before we even worry about what it is that we want, what it is that we want to do in this life, who we want to be, all that doesn't matter. Let me move this back a little bit, make sure y'all see me. All that doesn't matter. What matters is who are you before we even get anywhere else. Now, let's go through the normal life of a human being, right? A human being is born, beautiful little baby, super innocent, right? Not a bad thought, a bad nothing in the world, just a cute little innocent baby. That baby is born into a multitude of different situations or different households. Each baby has the possibility of being born into a multitude of different scenarios, different situations, different houses, different families. So that baby is born into the family, and naturally doesn't really have anything going on. It's new to this whole life thing on earth, so subconscious mind, it's wide open. It's just absorbing. It's literally just learning. That's its only job, its only purpose. Although it doesn't ever really change, but for the baby, that's its sole purpose. It's just learning and absorbing. So that baby is looking around at the family members, seeing what they do, seeing how they talk, how they behave, and accepting that and saying, okay, cool. And then right from the beginning, that baby is given a name. The first thing, as soon as you're born in that hospital, is let's name the baby. No, look, it's little baby Joseph, right? Little baby Joseph. That's all we know now. It's just Joseph. He's a baby and his name is Joseph. Now, he grows up, he's taking on things from his family, certain characteristics, certain beliefs, certain ideals, certain mannerisms, all of that, right? And all that slowly starts to become who Joseph is. So, Joseph, a little bit down the road now, let's say he's a preteen, right? We know that he has certain interests. He loves to do music, he loves to draw, he is clumsy. His name is Joseph. He's good at math. He likes, this type of person. He has a crush on this girl, so he has this type of interest. And he doesn't like this food, right? We start slowly accumulating all of these things during our human experience of what we like, what we don't like, what our preferences are, how we think, how we act. And slowly all those things start to become you, right? And as we continue to go on, what we see is, okay, Joseph likes women, he doesn't like men, so he's straight instead of being gay, right? One or two. And then we see from his family, they were Christian, so now, naturally, he is Christian. He's not Muslim, he's not Buddhist, he's not Jewish, none of those other categories now, he's this. So now he is a straight Christian. And then we continue to go on. He is a, let's see. So the family that he was born in, let's say they are middle class. So not poor, but they're not rich, they're middle class. So that means Joseph is a straight Christian middle class citizen. And then we can continue. Now he's getting a little bit older. He's starting to see how the world works and everything, and he starts looking into politics. And now he chooses his side, and he says, you know what? I'm a Democrat, right? So now Joseph is a straight Christian. What was the third one? We're starting to rack up now. Straight Christian. He's a middle class, and he's a Democrat. So as we go on, we continue to label and scratch away and try to fine tune who this specific person is. I want to find out who I really am. So I go out and find all these different labels and different depictions and ways to describe me, right? And then we say, okay, this is who I am. And what we can also see nowadays is everybody wants to be different, right? No one wants to be just another person in the crowd. Oop, that's not gonna work. Gotta give me one of those erasers. No one wants to be just another person in the crowd. All right, all of these dots being everybody around you. You don't want to just be that person. Maybe it's you, maybe it's not, but it's just a recurring pattern. You want to say, this is me. You want to be different. You want to be separated. You want to have that specific identity. And what that does is it separates, and separates. We can see now that we're getting into this consistent pattern of separation and separation and separation in order to find out who are you, right? That's the big question. And it seems simple, or it seems obvious. If I want to find out who I am, I need to go out in the world, go around these people and find out what I like, what I don't like, what's this and what's that, and what's my preference, and find out who I am. Add on these labels so I can specifically say for certain, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that, I'm this. And that's how we know who we are, and that's how we're different. Now, another thing that Joseph learned as a Christian, honestly, it shows up in plenty of other places, so it's not specific to Christianity, but in this example, he's Christian. Now, another thing that we learned in terms of him being in this group, and this specifically being Joseph, is we learned in religion that this up here is God, right? And the line is supposed to be like, you know, like the light shining. Not a sun. I mean, it doesn't look like a sun either, but yeah, that's God, right? God is all the way up here, and we're down here, and this is you specifically. Now, again, we can see the separation, right? There's the group. I'm separated from the group, and God is up here, and that's who I look up to, and he's the one that's going to fix this and fix that and do that for me. Now, let's just keep with this definition of who you are. It's this person right down here that's separated. Now, why this matters, right? In terms of our life, in terms of our objectives, things that we're trying to avoid or things that we're trying to get to, our desires, in this life, we have problems. That's the one thing that, you know, seems to show up is we have problems, or we have things that we want, and then we see, okay, well, not having the thing that you want is a problem. And unfortunately, there are some people out there who even try to, you know, talk to me and try to teach me a lesson about life, which was really just a lesson about their own life. Has nothing to do with me. But they said that the only thing that is guaranteed is in this life is pain and suffering. Let's just take a moment of silence to think about that. Okay. What their lesson was, the big thing to tell me about life was that the only thing that's guaranteed is pain and suffering. Anyway, what that tells us, right, is we have things in our life that we're trying to get through, things that were, you know, that seem like a problem. Now, what the real problem is that's just life. Life is just happening to you. That's just what it is. You just have to deal with it and just go through life, and it's going to do what it does to you. So again, there's that separation, but the biggest thing that adds to who you are is that a victim. A constant pattern that I've been seeing over and over and over and over again, me included, okay? I couldn't have fully been aware of it after I looked at myself and was able to see it. It's a pattern. And if you see it in yourself, that's fine, because you've probably seen it from somebody else. It's just a conditioning off of our, you know, social norms. But victim. Another part that you become in this whole role of separation and learning that life happens to you is you become a victim. Flat tire happens, oh fuck, okay. Now I gotta go ahead and deal with this, and now I'm late for work, and then your boss says something, and it's just, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, right? And it seems like, fuck, life is happening to me, and I'm the victim. I just can't catch a break. The big truth, however you take this, is gonna say a lot about where you're coming from, about maybe something that you'll need to work on, about your own filter. But you being a victim does not exist. Whatever it is that you're dealing with in your life, that you're going through, you are responsible for it. That's it. Anything, no matter what it is that you're going through in your life, you are responsible for it. You're not the victim, you're the cause. Now, the reason why I say however you take that depends on you, because on one hand, somebody can see that and say, whoa, start feeling offensive and saying, oh, so you're saying this has to do with me? You're saying I wanted this? You're saying I wanted that? It's, people don't want to take that type of accountability, you know? However, if that was truly your fault, then what you should be looking at is that means that you can change it. That means that the same way that, yes, you did cause all of those things that came and happened to you that seem negative, that also means that you have the power to make something positive. Then you have the power to change whatever it is that you're dealing with, create something new. However you want to look at that is up to you. But unfortunately, we continue to see ourselves as the victim, and that is not the case. Now, I made this diagram in the last video, or maybe the next video. I'm not sure the order what it's going to end up being, but I'm probably going to end up using this plenty of times. It seems to be kind of like a universal idea in most of the situations. But, and I'm not going to dig into it too much then, but just so you can understand. There is a lot more to life than everything that you see. Everything that we're dealing with that seems like the whole big picture, everything that we're used to, everything that our senses are able to smell and look at and touch, and that's it. It just seems to be like, that's life. And unfortunately, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point, because we've had other people tell us that this is life. So now we go ahead and assume, all right, so yeah, this is life. And then when something happens and it seems to prove your point that that's all there is, and things just happen because you don't understand why it happened. So as far as you're concerned, it's something that's just happening. So then that means that same belief in your mind just deepens. Gets stronger, you have more conviction about it, and it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. And then even if something was to show up and seem like a coincidence, or seem like, oh damn, this actually was my fault directly, again, you already have so much conviction about your belief already that you're gonna write it off as a miracle, or just write it off as a coincidence or whatever. It's gonna be some small, minute, throw it under the rug and keep on going. You're not gonna look for that, because your mind, your belief already has something in it, and it's gonna look for anything out there in order to confirm that. Because unfortunately, our ego always wants to be right? So we're just gonna continue to look for that. However, the physical is such a small portion of what's actually going on. Such a small portion of what we're actually looking at. There's 3 parts to the whole. And you can make this a little bit more intricate if you need to, but again, I'm trying to keep this simple for you guys. Not only is the physical a small part of it, but it is the end. The physical world, our, what we consider to be reality, is literally always just on the effect end. The spiritual would be the infinite, right? That's everything, where all of these possibilities are, where they exist, what could be, what isn't, You don't have to worry about that too much because it'll get confusing. If you can understand this, then the spiritual won't be as confusing, but we're trying to, baby steps, get you in there first. However, the mental and the emotional is something that we can understand a little bit more. Every physical action that you do is always going to have an emotion behind it. It's always going to have a thought behind it. Regardless of, even if it's something that seems simple, like, I'm just going to drink some water, and I have to stop and think I'm going to drink some water, but there was a process that went through in your mind, regardless of how quick it was. It said, oh, I'm thirsty, let me grab some water. There was a thought, there was a reason behind that. Or maybe, even in terms when it comes to an emotion, you do something out of anger, which in a specific situation, if you're angry at that time, then your physical behavior, what you say, what you do, can be very different than if you're happy and you're on cloud nine. In that situation, you look at it completely differently, and that physical action changes. So we can immediately see the connection between the mental and emotional as it comes down to the physical, as it comes down to how the physical world materializes, what comes into play. And another way that we can see this, or an analogy, would be like water, right? Spiritual would be steam. Mental and emotional would be water. And the physical would be ice. It's all the exact same thing. It's all different forms of the same whole. This is all still just water, ice, steam. It's all the same thing. It's all H2O. But it's just the energy taking different form. And that is literally what this is. When we say everything is energy, it can't be created nor destroyed, that's true. And it seems to continuously play out because that's just how things are. It's not something that we need to change. It's not something we need to be concerned about. It's not something we could change if we wanted to anyway. Spiritual is steam. You can't necessarily, touch it, or sometimes you can't even really see it. If it falls off your glasses, sure, but right now in the air, there's moisture, but we're not aware of it. So I can't see it, I can't touch it, I can't taste it. My senses aren't aware of it, but it's still in the air. And then it goes up to the clouds, it gets condensed, it starts to change form, then it rains down, and now it's water. So it's something that we can see a little bit more. Maybe you can't, if you have a bowl of water, you can't go in there and grab some water and take it out and just hold it in your hand. That's gonna run through. So now at this point, we can have more of the senses, have more of an awareness to it, but we can't necessarily take and construct that water and do whatever we want with it, right? Which is mental and emotional. You have a thought, you can't necessarily take that thought out of your head and put it in your hand and move it and all that, but you're very aware of it, still there. Same thing with your emotion. Maybe you're in a room, you walk into a room after people are arguing, and you feel the tension in the air, you feel the pressure. It's almost like you could cut it with a knife. You can't literally take the knife and go and cut it, but you can feel it. You know it's there. So at that point, it's like water. And then you have ice, where now it's fully physical. It's in its full form. You can deal with it now. You can take that ice. You can move it over here. You can take it over here. You can throw it. You can cut it, and yada, yada, yada. Now you can actually interact with it specifically. And that's the same thing. And that's literally how the world works. That's how our life works. So in terms of us thinking that everything is just straight physical and everything is just what you see now, that's not the case. Now, another way that I would like us to look at this in order to understand it better is the physical world. What you're seeing right now is almost delayed. The physical world is nothing but feedback. Okay? Since we said our mental and emotional is where it starts, then that means if with anything there's a cause and effect. That's the basic rule that we know and we understand, right? There's always a cause and then there's the effect. If I push something, it's gonna fall. But it can't fall and I push it at the exact same time. That can't exist in the same frame as a push and then a fall. So if we know that the physical is the effect, and first the mental and the emotional would be the cause, then that would mean that anything that I'm doing right now is not going to immediately happen and change at this moment. So in that way, we can understand that the physical moment or the physical reality, which would be the now, only exists from an emotion or a mental thought that happened prior. When you did that mental and emotion, it had to change form, took a little while, and then I came into the now. Did I do that right? Now it's supposed to be like a cycle, but whatever. You get the point. Every mental and emotion that you're having, it takes time, it takes form, and then you have reality, which means that whatever it is that you're dealing with right now in your life, sure, maybe consciously you're like, no, I want something different, or no, this isn't what I'm thinking, or maybe you do feel like you're genuinely a different person, and you could be. However, that doesn't matter, because what you're dealing with right now is an effect of your emotional and mental state before. It needed time in order to be a cause and then effect. That doesn't happen immediately overnight, which is why when we say, manifestation and trying to create something and you're doing all of this, why is it taking a while? The universe is going to work on its own time. Again, that's not for you to worry about. That's not your concern. It's not in your control. However, what we do know is that it's always a cause and then effect. So everything that you are dealing with right now in this life is because of your mental and emotional. And now, what you're dealing with now is simply an effect. So, an example. Let's say that you were taught, right, Joseph? Let's say that Joseph was taught that it's hard to get money. He was taught that no matter what, you have to hustle, you have to struggle, and money is just always going to come in slow, and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have enough money. Because that's what he was raised around, right? That's what he saw his parents dealing with, his friends, that was just his community. That became his belief. And now he has conviction in that belief. So no matter what, where he is in life, it's saying, all right, so this is what life is going to be. I'm not going to have enough money, or it's going to be a struggle. Now, let's say at a certain point, he sees someone else who, okay, now he learns that, wait a minute, this person is getting all this money and they're barely doing anything. Oh shit. All right, maybe that's not true. So just because he changed his mind doesn't mean that the world is all of a sudden going to change. It doesn't mean that same day all of a sudden money's going to start flying in, because he already has that conviction and that belief. And he had that days prior, months prior, years prior, whatever. So whatever he's seeing right now at this moment is not connected to right now in this moment. It's connected to before. So this is where the hard part comes in. This is the test. Is that you need to stay in whatever frequency and whatever mental state that you're in right now. You need to continue to be that now, even if life shows you something different. And it's even harder because this is where the word delusion comes into play, right? We see so many of those people. It's a recurring thing. Honestly, at this point, if someone's saying that you're being delusional, I think that's a good thing. If it's in terms of you wanting something and seeing a life that you actually have a passion for and a drive for, a desire for, then I think that's a good thing. Honestly, at this point, you're on to something. But people doubt what they can't see. And they take the physical world and everything that's going on to prove, okay, this is what I thought it was going to be. Or it's proof of, see, no, I knew this wasn't working. I knew this wasn't going to happen. I knew, it couldn't be that easy. Because we're looking at, again, the right now, which has nothing to do with what you're doing right now. Has nothing to do with how you're thinking right now. Nothing to do with how you feel. Again, it's still about how you were feeling yesterday, weeks ago, the month prior, however far back you want to go. It's about who you were, not who you are. So, in a way, when we're talking about you being a victim, right? This is where everything starts to change. And maybe I'm going a little fast. If I am, you're going to have to rewind. That's all I can tell you. Go back, rewind, maybe put the slowness, the speed down a little bit more, but you should be taking notes. You should be going slow. You should be pausing, thinking about it for a second, because I'm saying a lot. But if you've already gotten to the point where it's making a little bit more sense, then you'll understand. You can keep up. But again, pause, go back, do what you need to do. But I want to make sure that you're getting what I'm saying. All right? Because I'm saying a lot and it's important. So I want to make sure that you're getting it. Now, this is where the whole thing of victim changes. Victim goes out the window. At this point, you should already know, all right, so if I am really in charge of everything that's going on, and that includes all the bad stuff, then that also means that the good stuff I'm in charge of too. So, all right, if I know that I'm in charge now, and even though, damn, I made all this stuff and I didn't want to make this stuff, but I wasn't aware of it, and now I am, now that means that I can change. So even if what right now is playing is going to be the past, I can update and do something I can update and create the future now from feeling and thinking and doing the things that I want to do and do it now. So in this case, victim is completely out the window, because this, I'm hoping, should change your whole idea of adverse events. This should change the whole idea of obstacles, the whole idea of negative things that happen in your life, the bad things that happen in your life. Hopefully, all of that should change, because all that means is they're nothing but an opportunity. Every time when something shows up and is trying to push you back, or is trying to prove opposite, or is trying to say, no, I knew this wasn't going to work, or I knew this wasn't going to work, or I knew this was going to happen, right? Every time something physically shows up, you should have the awareness at this point that, oh, it's feedback. This from something I did yesterday. Damn, that's my fault. I shouldn't have done that yesterday. It's all right, but I know who I am right now. I know who I'm going to be tomorrow. It's cool. And you keep it pushing and do whatever you're doing. So in this case, let's use an example. Let's say that money is something that you've been trying to bring to your life. You're trying to embody a person of abundance. In the future, you know that person, that frequency that you want to be is somebody who just casually has money, always has money, and it's natural. So they don't have that stress, they don't have that anxiety, they don't have that pressure, whatever. It doesn't exist for them anymore. That's where they are. That's where their mental and emotional state is. Now, unfortunately, it took you a while. Not even unfortunately, because it's a good thing that you got to this place. But before in the past, you weren't aware and you weren't thinking this way. So before, when it came to money, money was something bad. Money meant stress. Money, you had to work for it. It was going to take a super long time. You had the conviction behind your belief that money was not something that flows to you easy, that money is not something that belongs in your life. Now, because of that, that determines where you are right now, determines the life that you're dealing with, the physical reactions, the people that you're meeting, the jobs that you're being given, the jobs that are accepting you, all your circumstances. That's being based off that belief and that conviction of where you were before. And you know this, right? Because you're smart, you've been doing the work, you've been taking notes, and now you're aware of it. Now you know. So as you're going through your day-to-day, and let's say flat tire, right? Just cause, right? You're driving and you go ahead and you hit a flat tire, and now you're like, damn, and I don't have the money for this flat tire right now, and so then immediately you may have, I'm assuming, have this urge to go back to your normal thinking, to the thinking that caused the situation, and say, damn, I don't have money. Something's always happening to me. Of course, money keeps flying away from me. Of course, I can never have money in my pocket. Of course, all these situations that just mean I'm gonna have less and less and less money keep on showing up. Of course. But we know already that the reason why these situations are happening in the present are because of you thinking and acting that way and feeling that way in the past. So instead, we see this opportunity as, ooh, you know what? No, I know this. I know exactly what this is. I got an eye on it this time. I understand it now. All you're trying to do is just take me back to my old thinking. You're trying to solidify that, but I already know this is different now. So I'm not even gonna think that way anymore. I'm gonna think like what I want my future to show, because I know it's gonna be a feedback loop. Everything I do right now in the present is gonna show up later. So you know what? No, I'm not worried about it. It's all right. Not even concerned. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and pop out the auto credit card. It's what, $30 for me to go ahead and get this tire fixed? All right, cool. Go ahead, pay the $30 and keep it pushing. It's all right. It's no big deal. Because the person that I want to be, that life that I want to be, that emotion, that mental, that state of being that I want to be in, the person that's raking in all this money is not going to be concerned about that. So why should I be? Right? If I want to be that person, if I want that reality to show up, it's going to be feedback from who I am now. Then this is nothing but an opportunity for me to prove that. Nothing but an opportunity for me to solidify that. And now at this point, again, we look at obstacles completely differently. It's like at this point, we look forward to it. Not that we want, something to go bad all the time, but we look forward to it. We accept it with open arms because that thing is nothing, literally nothing, but another opportunity for you to deepen your conviction and your belief and your state of being and who you are and the reality that you want. And the more that you do that, the more the situation shows up and you say, oh, nope, this is who I am. Then another one shows up, nope, this is who I am. Another one tries to show up, nope, still this person. This is still who I'm gonna be. This is still who I am right now. Nope. Constantly tries to pull you back because there's a little bit of resistance because the universe is used to you being a certain person. It's used to you thinking a certain way. You've already had this conviction saying this is life, this is life, this is life, this is how it is. And the universe accepted that. So that's what it's given to you. But every time you show up differently, every time you say nope, 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 every time you be that person that you want to be, the universe starts to be like, oh shoot, you know what? No, there's an imbalance here. This person used to be down here, in this frame of frequency, in this frame of how you think about life, how you emotionally react to life. It seemed like you were constantly down here, but every time that situation shows up, you keep saying nope, and you up here. And the situation shows up and you're still up here, and you're still up here, and you're still up here. So at a certain point, the universe, it being as mechanical and scientific as it is, it loves order, natural order. It's always mechanical. It's always on point. So as it sees that you're no longer down here anymore and you keep showing up here and here and here and here and here, the feedback comes and it updates and it meets you where you are. The energy changes to match where you are because there's always a natural order, there's a natural balance in the universe. So it's gonna line up to where you finally are because you keep saying, oh, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And the physical catches up and matches you here. You consistently said, no, this is my emotion, this is my thoughts, this is my emotion, this is what I'm thinking, this is my belief, this is my conviction behind this is who I am. The feedback updates and then comes into the now. So no matter what it is that you're going through that it seems like is proof of your past, unfortunately it ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if whatever you're going through in the past keeps on showing up now, so then you continue to do what you did in the past now, then that means everything that's showing up now is going to show up in the future. Because you're doing the same thing. If you take a rock and you drop it on the ground and it hits the ground, and you're like, okay, all right, so that happened. So then you go ahead and lift it back up and you drop it back down on the ground and you say, okay. So no matter what, when I lift up this rock, it's gonna drop down. Like, I know that. And you continue to do it, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same result. I don't know if that was a good analogy. But you get my point. It's gonna be the same thing. And you're going off of what you're seeing right now as if that's proof, when really it's just what you were doing before. It has nothing to do with what you're doing right now. But if you assume that it has everything to what you're doing right now, then you're not going to change your behavior because you're going to think there's no point. You can't go off of what you're seeing as your proof. You have to know what you're feeling as your proof. You have to know however you came into that situation, you dealt with it a certain way. Regardless of what that situation was, you know for certain that you did what you had to do because you thought the way that you want to think. You felt the way that you wanted to think. You did whatever it is that you wanted to do. And that was it. Simple. It didn't have to be a whole big thing. So at that point, again, there is no victim. All of a sudden, you have the power. It doesn't matter what reality does. It's not doing anything to you. It's just doing what it does, and you don't react. You respond. You choose exactly what it is that you want to do in that situation. And every single thought, every single emotion, every single action, every moment of conviction that you put into that belief of who you are proves who you are. So again, that big question of who are you? You are whoever you say you are. And that's it. That's the simple answer Real simple. You've probably heard it before, but you don't fully understand how deeply it goes. But whatever is your internal state is whatever you're seeing. So go ahead. Go ahead and look around through your day, see what's going on, see all the interactions that you're having, and take it as data. Don't take it as something that you need to get emotionally, flipped out about, and damn, this is happening, there's this and there's that, and damn, and I feel even worse now, it's my fault. No, it's nothing but data, nothing but information. So you can say, okay, well, this is happening maybe because I was doing this, or maybe I was thinking that way, or maybe, I did learn this from that person, right? Now you know. Now that you know, you change it. You be that person now, and as you be that person now, there's no choice but to mirror and show up later. Simple as that.